Hi folks, Astronomy Live here. Just relaxing, enjoying the stars. This is a live image from my telescope right now as I record this. But this is not going to be like my usual deep space videos. Instead, I'm going to address some allegations that have been flying around the internet and especially on Twitter the last few days. And I'm going to give some off-the-cuff remarks and also show some evidence that vindicates me and exonerates me from the accusations being made. To sum it all up in a few words, I've been accused of engaging in a scam. And this is all relating to the fundraiser for Bools and his family and his dog, Dexter. As you might recall, Bullinator passed away shortly after Christmas. And as a result of that, his dog, Dexter, who was a service dog that protected him when he experienced seizures, found himself in a shelter in Pinellas County. And we only had a short period of time to retrieve that dog before he would be up for adoption and we might lose him. And on top of that, it was quite cold at the time, and he was being kept in an open-air cage. And, of course, the shelter took precautions to try to make sure that the dogs didn't catch hypothermia and die, but still, it's an unpleasant situation to be in just after Christmas, just after a cold front. The day I picked him up, it was still pretty cold out, and, not a pleasant situation for a dog in an open-air cage. So, Unirock started claiming that this fundraiser was a scam, that we misappropriated the funds, or abused the funds, or even forged the receipts. I find these claims disgusting and despicable. They are completely false, and I find it deplorable that someone would stomp on Bools' grave and try to use his service dog as a weapon. I am personally infuriated by it, but I'm going to keep my emotions in check to the best of my ability in this video and stick to the facts. However, I don't like talking in front of a blank screen. Some people apparently don't have a problem with that, but I prefer to have some kind of nice-looking content on screen, so I'm just going to let images from the telescope play in the background here while it tracks and photographs the Orion Nebula. I've photographed this nebula plenty of times before, but never with the adaptive optics unit that I have on the camera. Since I got an AO unit, I had not actually revisited this nebula. My previous AO unit died. I now have a new one, and I thought it would be nice to come back and revisit this nebula and shoot it with adaptive optics running. So it's currently tracking a guide star at 10 Hertz and keeping it stable to compensate for any drive errors and to some extent for the atmosphere as well. Okay, so let's take a listen here to what Unirock claims.
A lot of, people informing me of what's going on from their perspective. I appreciate it. A lot of people thanking me or apologizing to me to say, now they realize what I was saying all that time ago. Hey, I don't hold anything against you. As long as you don't let yourself be taken advantage of again, that's all that matters. And a lot of people are pretty outraged. More and more people are waking up. But the majority, the 99.9%, have already been for a long time now.
I just want to point out here that given what you're going to hear are lies and false accusations, him boasting about how many people he's convinced only speaks to the amount of damage he's doing with his defamation, which, Unirock, if you're listening to this, that's not a smart thing to boast about. Let's continue.
Just saying, if you don't know what I'm talking about, I went live a week or so ago, maybe a little more than that, and told you that there was an official investigation into the old debunking community, that little pocket from where they, stuff all the time. And I think there were people out there that were like, oh, Uni's just running his mouth and Uni's just bullshitting. But, you know, they've admitted it now. They've admitted to parts of the official investigation now live. So, you know, that backs up it.
The investigation he's referring to, in very general terms, he wants you probably to think that this is some sort of law enforcement investigation. He's being very non-specific about it, isn't he? Well, it was a GoFundMe investigation, because the GoFundMe for Bool was falsely reported as fraudulent. Again, not something you probably want to boast about. Indeed, GoFundMe conducted an investigation. You know what they found? They found that the fundraiser was not fraudulent. Furthermore, they took action. They took action against the account that falsely reported it. They banned the account that falsely reported the GoFundMe for Bool. So yeah, there was an investigation, Uni, but it was not in your favor, or your side's favor, whatever you want to call your group. It vindicated us, and they banned the person who falsely reported our fundraiser.
And what they said on the stream just is absolute proof that they did exactly what you think they did. So, you know you guys are also telling me that they accused Unirock of running fraudulent fundraisers. Ugh. Well, I wish I had ran some fundraisers, because I haven't. And I've collected, zero money, or $10 or something off of fundraisers that I didn't even run. There's only been one ever, and it was canceled. Basically, we started it on GoFundMe instead of Patreon. Now, this is back when all that shit was new. So, and if there was someone that started another, that needs to be reported. I know that one didn't get any money, but I didn't have anything to do with it. I've never ran a fraudulent GoFundMe, obviously. You guys know this if you've watched my channel. That's what happens when they get really scared. And that just kind of gives you more proof that they have been contacted, that they're scared, that they're worried, that they themselves know that, you know, what they've done is going to be handled and blasted at one point, most likely, you know, unless they get super fucking lucky, which I doubt they will this time, because they were sloppy as fuck with this one. And of course, I'm being vague to be respectful to the severity of the situation.
No, Uni, you're being vague so that people think this is some sort of law enforcement investigation. You know darn well that's not what it is. And if you're wondering why this video is not on my channel, well, I don't like to put up videos with a ton of F-bombs in it, and I'm just not going to take the time to censor out Uni's language here. Plus, I don't want to give him my channel as a platform to have his lies repeated. So that's why it's over here instead. But that said, he's being vague to try to make it seem like a bigger deal than it was. It was an investigation by GoFundMe, and it's already over. It's done. They found that the GoFundMe was not fraudulent. They found that the account that reported it was falsely reporting it, and they took action against that account. Let's move on.
You know, which it won't matter to them because they can't think. They don't have the ability, you know, to do any type of objective thought or any type of critical thought. And that's why they themselves will just start screaming like, nobody can say anything about this ever. Ooh, yeah, wee, motherfucker. So they'll just scream that shit without any logic or reason behind it, because they can't logic or reason or think. So for those of you that can, you know, you get it. So yeah, I mean, I could make some points like they've already shown receipts to be paid out, but now have admitted that they haven't been because of something, and that doesn't even matter. Those are the traps that they're laying. Those are...
Okay. First of all, the receipts, for example, all the receipts I showed for over $1,000 worth of treatment, goods, and services for Dexter, I paid all of that out of pocket. All of it. The receipts from the shelter, the receipts from the vet, the 2 vet visits, which total up to roughly $800, I think, plus the food and the toys and the bedding, All of that was paid out of pocket. I was reimbursed after the fact, and I'd like to point out, as Sean Hufford pointed out on Twitter recently, although a lot of the money went to GoFundMe, not all of it did. Some of it went straight to Sean's PayPal and was then dispensed as needed. So, some of those funds came from Sean's PayPal, which was not part of the GoFundMe situation.
The traps that they're laying, like I said they would do, they lay all these traps. They try to, preempt all of this so that they can have an easy fight when they, get what they want and somebody talks about it. But
well, then why are you talking about it? And I'm sorry, showing the receipts, you're complaining about it being a trap? So, you're basically complaining that you can't talk nonsense about us unopposed. Why am I not surprised? This is all just a game to you, isn't it? I find it incredibly disgusting, especially considering we're dealing here with a dog that helped Bullinator. It's just sick to me. Anyway, to reiterate what I said before, yes, we showed receipts. Yes, those receipts were paid for initially out of my pocket. I was reimbursed after the fact.
the main point is they didn't even have to pay for what they paid for. They had an easy option that would have cost $200 to $500, and provably, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. And they chose to spend thousands instead. And I would just
oh, really? No. 2 to 500? Are you kidding me? Look, getting him out of the shelter and take him to the vet for treatment for his UTI and the follow-up inspection and treatment that was needed, that alone was about $800 worth of stuff. Okay? That wasn't really optional. The only optional thing there was that, yeah, I set him up with 6 months worth of heartworm pills. That was a favor, so the family wouldn't have to do that. Because the clock was already ticking, they gave him 1 heartworm pill when he came in for his first visit, and the clock was already ticking on when he would need the next one. So I got him set up with 6 months of heartworm pills. He's going to need that anyway. So no, there was really no other option here, no cheaper option here. That's just vet bills, okay? That's not even transport, Uni.
love for, oh, by the way, they could have actually given you details, like they promise in the text of the actual document. They didn't. They didn't give you any details, even though they promise it in the text of the actual document.
We gave every detail. We showed every single receipt. We accounted for every penny that was spent. We showed all the details that needed to be showed.
They will. They just sit there and now think about this. They spent more time lying about me and talking shit about me than they even did having any type of keeping their word to the people who funded them. I mean, that should say a lot. Honestly.
I mean, that's not even true. I didn't say anything about Uni that I recall. I certainly didn't spend more time talking about Uni than I did about Bools' dog.
This is too easy. The criticism here is too simple because it's so obvious. And for anyone out there who is in that community and wants to give their opinion on this, you should just stick to the bigger points at hand because they want you into the details. They've lied.
Oh, pay no attention to the man behind the curtain, right? Pay no attention to all the receipts, all the details, the fact that we've accounted for everything. You don't want anyone noticing that, do you?
About all the details, and they've set many traps in the details so that if you bring that up, they can sit for an hour and scream about how, this detail and that detail and da-da-da, you brought up this, well, look at this, ooh. No, you just stick to the major points. And I don't know.
In other words, just slander their good name, but don't get into any details or else they'll prove you wrong. That's what he's saying.
No, their community is really weak. In their community, the people there are so worried about losing 5 subscribers that they can't stand up for all the people who were conned and lied to. And I think it's, I mean, that's one of the main reasons why I won't exist in that community ever again. So maybe, you know, like they'll sit there and fucking try to call out people for fucking, you know, dumb bullshit that they don't even have the correct story. They don't even know what they're talking about. They don't even reference any clips. They don't even, you know, they don't even attempt to do any work. They'll just throw together like a 10-minute thing where they're sitting there rambling and bitching about how everybody else gets everything wrong except for my exalted leaders, instead of criticizing the most egregious and most disrespectful and most blatant, disgusting act in the community.
Sounds like you're describing yourself there, to be honest. I don't say that lightly, but what you're doing here, attacking us for taking care of Bools' dog, is disgusting. It's despicable. And from what I'm seeing in the replies you're getting on Twitter, everyone sees that, except for a few people who are at your level, down there at the bottom of the barrel. So, I think at some point people will criticize it. It'll just take time because people will wait due to all the issues surrounding it, you know. I think people will wait due to the issues surrounding it. So, you know, for those of you that want my opinion, you've already gotten it. I've already told you that, you know, I already told you all my thoughts a good, like a week, 10 days ago, something like that. So, you know, it's sad. And it's just first court hearing. Oh my fucking God, I forgot that was today. That was today? Shit, Backwoods Barbie did a video. Oh, thank God Backwoods Barbie did a video. I don't even follow whatever he's talking about now, to be honest.
Can you hear Barbie? Judge Judy, I love it. That's it, Backwoods Barbie, it's Judge Judy. Sorry, I saw that pop up. I saw Barbie's recommendation pop up, so I'm gonna have to watch that. I'll have to watch that, so.
I'll give him a few more seconds here. I'm not sure if he gets back on subject or not, but I thought there were some other points in this video I wanted to address, so I'll give him a few more seconds here to see if he gets back on subject.
All right. Oh, you don't have to share the link here, Navy. They'll just have a fucking conniption fit because you're not allowed to share links, but we're allowed to, you know, lie about everything possible. And, you know, instead of shipping, we're going to just go on, we're going to spend thousands of dollars doing all this other shit. And, you know, it's not a lie because we say so. It's not scummy because we say so. But everybody else is horrible people. Yay. And then they wonder why no one gives a fuck. Then they wonder why. You'd think they'd get it by now, but...
Does he think he's funny or something? I don't get it. But we spent about $1,000 for Dexter's transport to his family. I can't remember if his family's location is public knowledge or not, so I'm not going to say where. But I'm in Florida, and the location was basically across the country. Okay, it was a great distance. And no, there are no excessively cheap options for that, really. We'll get into that in a minute.
I do not, Cindy. You know, those are just people's opinions, really. You know what I'm saying? I think, you know, it's up to Kyle how he handles it, and then he'll be judged on how he handles it. Of course, I know the other side will say, no, if you even speak to him, then everything he's ever said is now on you, and, oh, by the way, you're also not allowed to give your opinion on it.
This is from the guy who said he would never turn his back on Kyle and would always defend Kyle. That's a whole nother subject, but good grief. He's acting like he never defended Kyle, or like he wasn't taking Kyle's side up until the moment that it was undeniable from the judge that he had forged documents. I don't know. Crazy.
Anything, because if you do, then it'll be held against you forever, regardless of the information that was out at the time compared to what came out later, regardless if you updated, because we can't critically think. Woo-woo-ree.
It already came out, Uni. It already came out that he forged the documents, and you were still defending him, even in the face of all the evidence. You accused me of being a fake programmer, of being a fake coder, not a real coder, right? That's what you claimed. You attacked my credibility because I showed evidence that not only did he forge the documents, I showed how he forged the documents. Step by step. And so you lashed out at me and attacked my credibility rather than accepting the evidence. That's the problem I have.
You motherfucker. That's my best impression. I tried. I'm not in an impression kind of... I need more caffeine right now before I can impression properly. So, have you guys seen these videos? I left my door open and a baby deer walks in. They are the cutest freaking videos.
Okay, I can't tolerate any more of his getting off topic here on that video. Let's move on to the next day and what he said there.
Me rocking back and forth while I'm live is what made this chair like wear out. I don't know how I wore out another computer chair this fast. Well, I do, because I sit my ass in this shit all day making videos. Okay, upload coming on Unirock 2. And then quick update before we get into the topic at hand. Update on everything that's been going on for the last 4 or 5 days on Unirock 2 is tonight. Might be a few hours before I get it out, but it's going to be comprehensive. It's going to cover the stuff we talked about on the live channel, the breakdown, you know, like where she was upset and where like her and LB were fighting, and then the meeting, you know, that meeting everybody's been talking about where the judge like handed it to everybody. So I'm just going to cover, you know, everything from the last bit in that in this upload, just to get everybody updated. So then on Rock-A-Lot, luckily for you gamers out there, we hit level 20 on Tarkov and have access to level 3 traders. So we're going to be doing some really cool stuff. You won't want to miss it. Okay, now, as you know, yesterday I went and weighed in on my opinion again about the scam in the debunking community and their last fundraiser. And I've been very careful to be as respectful as humanly possible to the main issue, but at the same time put out a scope or a Twitter that kind of like summarizes all the issues that I've heard people have across many different communities, all linked.
Who are these people that supposedly have these issues other than you? I don't hear anyone else originating this stuff. You're the first one I'm seeing and hearing originating these claims that it was a scam. And personally, I don't find anything respectful about it. You never contacted me to ask for clarification on any of this, and I generated about half the bills that were seen in that video. I had no contact from you. So, you didn't try to fact-check anything. You made false assumptions and false claims. And now you accuse it of being a scam. I find that to be... Personally, I think that's defamation. And you're, you know, in your previous video boasting about how many people are waking up to it now. Again, that's just... If that were true, then that's just evidence of the damage you're doing, which is not in your favor.
In to the debunking community, or science community, atheist community, however you want to say it, right? Discussion community of those types of topics. And in the scope, of course, I did one a week and a half ago or so, but I was just really general about it. I got a tiny bit more specific yesterday. As everybody doesn't need to hear this, but their response, again, absolutely proves that they did scam in this, you know, issue. I don't want to say what the issue is.
No, my response was to say that what you were saying was disgusting, deplorable, and completely false. That doesn't prove that I scammed anyone. That's not how that works. That is literally a non sequitur. You haven't shown any evidence that this scam was supposedly that you say it was a scam. You haven't shown any evidence that it actually was a scam.
But they did scam. I could name several of the things that they kind of like bugged out about that just add further confirmation to the scam. But I'll just use one, right? Because they like to, they did their thing I said they'd do, where they sit and yell and scream and attack instead of discussing or instead of trying to become accountable to the people who funded scamming, I'll say that. Instead of being accountable, of course, they want to yell and scream and attack, which proves they have the time and they have the ability to be able to answer the questions, but instead want to show, hey.
Okay, give me some questions. Let's hear some questions. So far I'm hearing accusations, not a whole lot of questions. I didn't get any questions from you before you started making these claims. You want a discussion? Happy to have it with you. Invite me on your channel. I'll discuss it with you. I was there. I took care of the dog for a couple weeks. I'm happy to talk about it. You want to have me on? Want to have a discussion? Let's go. Let's have a discussion. I'm not yelling or screaming. I am discussing in a rational, calm way. And again, I'm not hearing a whole lot of questions, not hearing a whole lot of honest questioning. I'm hearing a whole lot of accusations. There's a difference.
Don't talk about it or we're going to attack you like we're attacking any YouTuber or any commentator that speaks up. So they do again confirm that they believe they are untouchable, they are uncriticizable. And that, of course, is their defense mechanism to what they did. And just...
You want to criticize a good deed that I did, taking care of Bools' dog for his family. With his family's blessing, by the way. You can play these if I ran the zoo fallacy games all you want, saying, oh, I wouldn't have spent all this money. Well, that wasn't your decision to make, and we did not make that decision unilaterally. Word of the day, Uni. Look it up, unilateral. We did not make that decision unilaterally. We were in communication with Bools' family the entire time, since before I even picked the dog up.
Just one of their responses where they say, well, we know that you like to be cheap with your animals, Unirock, but we don't. Do you, okay. So, being cheap with animals. We're talking about being cheap with animals. Okay. So it's not that you purposely chose to spend lots of money out of this fundraiser that on the fundraiser site says that it's going to be used for the actual tragedy and the result of the tragedy. You know, the thing that happens when you have one of those kind of tragedies.
Yeah, one of the things that happens when you have, say, a service dog living with you and nobody else to take care of that dog is it ends up in a shelter and it needs to be rescued from that shelter before it ends up in adoption, especially when your family lives across the country. So, yeah, that was something that happened, and we needed a solution. We needed to solve that problem very quickly before it spiraled even further. And we got in communication with the family right away, and with their blessing, I picked the dog up and took care of the dog. The dog needed treatment. The dog needed to see the vet. The dog had a severe UTI getting out of that shelter. Conditions in that shelter were not good, and the dog had already been there for a few days by the time I picked him up, and he had developed quite a severe UTI that needed immediate attention and treatment, and it needed follow-up in order to obtain a certificate that would even allow him to travel across state lines. He needed a certificate of health to enter the state that he was going to, and so I had to take him back for that. So yeah, all of that generated bills and cost a considerable amount of money, but that was money that was spent with the family's blessing.
And that you use the family as the clickbait there. So it can't be that, you know, you guys making decisions. So it matters if someone has to be paid an extreme amount of money to drive across the country to take the dog. It's some kind of like pampering. It's some kind of I'm not poor, I'm rich, and this dog deserves this shit to pay somebody to drive across the country, as opposed to spending a few $100s to have the dog shipped by professionals.
Oh, a few $100s, huh? Really, Uni? Did you do your homework on that? Do you know how big Dexter is? He's a big dog. About 75 pounds, huge, very lanky. He's not like a dense dog, you know, we're talking a very lanky dog, very large dimensions. Okay, he could take things off the plate on my table without going up on his hind legs at all, just standing up, okay? This dog's huge. Transporting a dog that size is not cheap. You can't just stuff him on an airplane and ship him off for cheap. You certainly can't get a professional transporter to do it for cheap. I know because I've got the quotes. You want to see some quotes? Here are the quotes. On the low end of the scale, you could have it done for about $950, on up to $1,249, on up to $1,750, depending on who you want to go with, what kind of service they offer, how many completed shipments they offer. Like this guy here, 35 completed shipments, 5-star rating. Yeah, $1,750, not cheap. Considerably more than we actually ended up paying. For Coral to come down and do it, it ended up costing about $1,000. That's on the low end of the scale for a professional shipper. And I know you're going to say, oh, why didn't you just stick him on an airplane? Okay. Again, large dog. Maybe it's a few $100 if you have a tiny little dog that fits in your purse. This is not one of those. This is a gigantic chocolate lab, very big chocolate lab mix. And he requires expensive shipping. Okay, for a dog in this size class, the shipping cost alone for the airline, $562 plus an $85 surcharge. So you're looking over $600, about $647 if my math is right now. Kind of doing this off the top of my head, but you know, over $600 for that. Plus, you're going to need a crate to put him in that will be appropriate for an airplane. And again, this is a very large dog, so the appropriate crate that will be large enough to securely store Dexter, you could be looking at as much as $300 for that. So by the time you're done, you've now spent close to $1,000 to stick him on an airplane where the temperature will not be regulated in the cargo section and will be an extremely stressful and potentially even dangerous situation for him. Especially considering this dog was just recovering from a severe infection. Yeah, that's not a great situation, and I can't even completely guarantee that he would have been able to be shipped in an expedient amount of time because he hadn't had his final follow-up visit yet for his UTI, and we kind of had to work around that situation in getting the paperwork necessary for him to get into Colorado. So we were a little bit unsure of whether the vet would sign off on it or not. But fortunately the vet did, with the understanding that they were going to be transported and looked after all the way to the destination. So let's continue.
Who are going to literally take care of the dog the whole way. So all of that, though, is just...
Yeah, professional shippers who are going to take care of the dog the whole way and cost you $1,000 or more.
Again, the trap. They want everybody to be focused on arguing, you know. They want everybody to be focused on looking into these little things. And the point is, the money... So when you have emergencies, you're supposed to, you know, shower not a human being, but a dog with extra pamperings in order to, just because of the fact that, you know, you guys aren't you guys aren't poor. You know, it's not like you guys are out there asking for people to help. You got me?
Taking care of Dexter was an expensive proposition. Most of the bills I generated, or at least most of the expense I generated, really came from the vet and the shelter and the medications he needed, things like that. You consider that pampering? I consider that basic necessity for the dog's health. I guess you're not a dog person, maybe. Maybe you thought we should have just neglected him. I don't get it, Uni. Because where I sit, that dog needed those vet visits. He needed that medication. That wasn't optional, okay? Yeah, I bought him some toys, too. I think he deserved it after everything he went through. I guess you don't. I'm pretty sure most people listening to either one of us would think that's a little bit odd. Would think, why don't you just let the dog have the toys? Why is that such a big deal? He spent a few bucks on toys. You really think the family's got a problem with that? Got news for you, they don't. Is that what you think? It's a baffling set of logic you got there, that you think we were being inappropriate by letting Dexter have a few toys while he was here for a couple weeks. Look, I don't have any dogs, okay? I didn't have any dog toys waiting for Dexter. I didn't have a dog bed waiting for Dexter, okay? Had to get the essentials so that the dog was well cared for and looked after while he was with me. And, yeah, he enjoyed his time here, but, again, the real expensive drivers were things like the vet visits. He needed that. That was not optional. I'm sad that you think it was. I really am. Personally, I'm a dog lover. Even though I don't have a dog, I love dogs. And I wasn't about to let him be neglected. I mean, the poor dog, when I got him, he was pissing blood from the UTI. And he was doing it every few minutes. I had to take him straight to the pet store after I got him, because I didn't have the essentials yet. I basically just come back into town. It wasn't even really my town, but swung into the Pinellas County to pick him up. I hadn't had a chance to go home yet and get essentials for him, so I had to take him to the pet store right away and get the essentials. And he was pissing blood on the floor in the store. It was shocking to me. It was like, you know, it was sad. And the employees of the store, like, shocked too. They're like, what the heck? And, you know, I explained the situation, that I just rescued this dog from the shelter and, you know, was going to take him to the vet next. And literally, that's the next thing I did. So, I spent that whole day looking after Dexter. Fortunately, I had taken off work the week after Christmas, so I was able to do that. But I guess you thought we should have neglected him. It's amazing.
It's not a big thing to pay somebody $1,100 to drive and stay in a hotel that costs $160 or $180 instead of staying in a hotel that costs $70 or $80.
He does realize that in some of these cases, the hotel was about $70 or $80, but also had a pet surcharge, okay? She wasn't staying in 5-star Ritz, okay? She was staying, once she was with Dexter, in hotels that allowed animals, right? And sometimes they charge you extra for that. Guess you don't realize that, but that's the case. It was even pointed out on some of the receipts.
Or maybe just shipping the dog for a couple $100 as opposed to all of these things.
There is no option to ship the dog for a couple $100. The dog is huge. You can't ship him for that little amount, okay? When you're taking up that much space in the cargo hold of the aircraft, they're going to charge you an arm and a leg. And plus, you're going to need to get the crate, which is not going to be cheap because it's huge. And it needs to be, you know, well made to be secure and safe for the dog down there in the cargo hold. So, yeah, it's going to cost. It would cost just about as much as it took us to have him driven up there.
And I won't even go into how, you know, they gave their gas receipts. This is the thing. This is the trap that they want to lay. Their gas receipts, some of them show them filling up and then going and staying in a $180 hotel, getting up the next morning and filling up again. Wow, that makes a lot of sense.
Oh, really? Oh, really? Go back and look, because I did. How would you know, first of all, when she checked out that morning? How would you know when she checked out of the hotel? Second of all, the gas receipts in the morning. Generally, if she gassed up in the morning, it was around 10 or 11 a.m. Uni, not everyone sleeps in till the afternoon. You think it might be possible she got up and got out the door by 7 a.m. to get on the road early and get a good start on the day, drove for a few hours, and then stopped to gas up around 10 or 11 a.m.? Fits the timeline to me. Not seeing the problem there, Uni.
Drove the whole night while you stayed in the 800. This is the point.
No, actually, if you drive the whole night, you're going to be gassing up a few times that night. But just because you gas up in the morning doesn't mean that you didn't get up early enough to get on the road early enough to need to gas up by 10 or 11 a.m. That's entirely sensible.
There's no reason to get into all of that, because we had to drive the dog because we don't treat our dog like Uni treats his animals. He's cheap with his animals. Ooh, woo. The point is, I thought it was a charity. I thought it was going to the people. I thought it was to help with the issues that happened due to the event.
Yeah, the dog being in the shelter was one of the major issues that happened because of the event that needed to be taken care of. And Bools' family, unfortunately, could not get down to Florida anytime soon. So I did it. I went and got the dog out. And that was with the family's blessing. The family wanted me to do that.
Okay. So you're saying you guys should make a decision to...
No, Uni. No. We were in communication with the family before I even picked the dog up.
To waste what would be an extra... I don't even know how much money they could have saved. We're talking an extreme amount of money. And it's okay to waste it. But that's not the point. It's not a scam because you guys did that. It is, but I'm just saying, it's still a scam because you guys told everybody who donated that you would be accountable.
And we were. We accounted for every penny. Literally. We showed all the receipts.
But you weren't. And
yes, we were. Yes, we were.
They're going to scream, we were accountable. We were accountable. We showed things. And we were accountable. We, played a recording, right? But if you listen to the recording, if you look at the things they showed, there is no accountability there. There's nothing that shows what was given and proves that what was given to the people they promised it to. There's nothing there. Their own admission says. I won't even get into the fact that they showed receipts on screen again that will have to be either forged or someone else is lying. Because
here we go again. Conspiracy theories about the receipts. This is conspiracy theory level thinking, okay? This is literally flat earth level logic. Accusing us of forging the receipts or lying about them. And trying to make these false assumptions that, well, it had to be fake because they had a gas receipt at 10 a.m. Because he wants to force you to assume that you rolled out of bed at 10 a.m. It's just amazing. It requires you to assume that we were lying and then conclude that we were lying. So it's circular logic. Because any sensible person looking at that realizes, hey, well, maybe they left the hotel earlier that morning and drove for a few hours and needed to gas up by 10 or 11 a.m. It's not that hard to figure out. I do that on road trips all the time.
The receipts on the screen show that all of the GoFundMe money was transferred, save for the amount that would have been used for the transfer fee. So when they go live, they show that receipts that say all of this money was transferred over, and they have their audience thinking that the family was already paid.
Again, you realize that not all the money went into the GoFundMe, right? Some of that went to Sean's PayPal. We showed PayPal transfers, right? And yeah, the GoFundMe was initially held up because of the false report that somebody over there did, falsely accusing us of running a scam. Sounds like the things you're saying, doesn't it, Uni? But the account that did that is now banned by GoFundMe.
Though then, the person that actually ran the GoFundMe jumps in the side chat and types, what was it? the person that ran the GoFundMe goes into the side chat and says, well, there was a hiccup with GoFundMe and the funds won't be released for 25 days, but we're going to make sure that we ship it to a YouTuber, and then that YouTuber is going to ship it to the family.
Yeah, that's me, by the way. I'm transparent. That's me.
And then on the stream, they say that they're going to ship it to another YouTuber who's going to write a check and ship it to the family.
No. Well, no, it's through me. I mean, I'm the one who... Yes, I'm the check writer, okay? That's me.
All of this is them not taking this seriously.
Oh, no, I'm taking it very seriously. And, Uni, if you keep this up, I'm going to take what you're saying very seriously. And I don't think you want me to do that.
Again, it's a scam because they could have just set it up to where a button click puts it into the family. They could have been set up as the
family, in this case, do not use computers, okay? Sorry, Bools' parents are not internet savvy. They don't use the computer. No. A button click would literally be the worst possible solution for them. Again, we've been in consultation with the family the whole time. We're following their wishes. You are attacking us for following their wishes.
Benefactor of the GoFundMe. Now you're going to say, why didn't they? Because they rushed and did all of this before they even talked to the family. They didn't even know if the family had $1 million life insurance policy.
This is a lie. This is a flat-out lie. We had been talking to the family the whole time.
And didn't need this money, right? I mean, do I need to keep going? These are the little details that they want everyone to argue about. So fine, you guys want to fight? Let's bring them up. Just those small details are enough for where, let's just pretend that this was a flat earth community that did what I just said. That community would have all of these idiots calling them scammers. But when they do it, it's okay, right?
No. We showed receipts. We showed proof. You have done nothing to refute that except make false assumptions that, oh, you must have rolled out of bed later in the morning and then gassed up. There's no proof of that. And frankly, that doesn't sound sensible at all when doing a long road trip like this. Maybe it is to you. Maybe you can't wake up before 10, but some of us can. Some of us do. Okay? I personally get up at 7 a.m. every day, so that's normal for me.
But that's not even the main point, because it's the foundational reasons that make it a scam. Let's say that they, go out and apologize for spending an extra, whatever it is, X amount, $1,000, deciding to have somebody drive all the way across the country and then pick up the dog and drive all the way across the country and then drive all the way back across the country. So they end up spending an extreme amount of money on the hotel bills, on all the gas and all this stuff.
Again, I'd just like to point out, I just showed you the quotes. Doing it with a professional shipper, even one in Florida, would have cost about $1,000 or more anyway. We were on the low end, the cheap end of that scale, going with Coral. She kept it very affordable.
And they could have just used a shipping service to get the dog there. They could have put the dog on a plane. If they want to talk about,
Again, I've been through that already. Bad idea. Not as safe for the dog. More stressful for the dog. And at the end of the day, just as expensive.
Bring the dog. Put the dog on a plane so it doesn't have to be in a car for an extra, how many hours? Oh,
well, at least the car is air-conditioned.
That's right. We don't know because they, of course, redact every bit of information about this due to the scam. But,
Due to the scamming? No. It's because I don't want you to have my address. Okay? Yeah, I asked Red to redact the receipts, and he did. He redacted a bunch of stuff that you don't need to know. It's irrelevant. You don't need to know the addresses of the stores I went to, their names, the name of the animal hospital. You don't need to know that. And if you did, well, then you would know exactly where I live, because, of course, those stores, animal hospital, all that stuff, it's all located right around my house, because, of course, I took the dog to locations that are close to where I live. Why would I do anything else? So, yeah, if you had the unredacted receipts, you'd have a nice little set of points you could put on a map that circle my house. Right there. No, I'm not going to give you that information. You don't need it. It's irrelevant. It doesn't mean it's a scam. It means I value my privacy.
What I'm saying is, let's say that they apologize for all of that and give the family an extra whatever amount of money to make up for the money they wasted in making their decision, so that either they or their friend could take a road trip, or they could, have an excuse for where some of the money went, whatever reason they did it for, right? Let's say they do that. Let's say they make up for it and they give the money. It's still a scam, because the foundational reasons for it being a scam GoFundMe, and I'm only using their own criteria. I'm using the things that they have said about flat earthers, fundraising, and things like that in the past. That's what
It's not a scam. It isn't. The money was used for what we said it would be used for. And no one has a problem with it except you and your little band of friends. And even some of your friends don't like it. Your friends don't necessarily like what some of you guys are saying. I'm seeing, one, I'll name names. I think it goes by Moderate C-Word, attacking Menace to Sobriety. Normally, those two get along attacking us. But right now, Moderate C-Word thinks it's rather disgusting what Menace to Sobriety is saying, agreeing with some of the things you're saying, Uni. So even your own community is divided over this, because some of them are honest enough to admit that what you're doing is disgusting, deplorable, and uncalled for. I think I've spent about as much time as I can spend on this right now. Got a very beautiful image of Orion Nebula here to develop and process. So until next time, thanks for watching. Clear skies, folks.